Ah! Yay! I think it's a habit of Apogee to, like, bring on the title of their game with some kind of a loud noise. Duke 3D did that as well with their whole gimmick of just an explosion sound as soon as the game starts or something like that. But anyways, this one's a little bit more obscure than Duke 3D, unfortunately. Unsurprisingly, of course, it did come out around about the same time as Doom 2, and on an inferior engine. And not to mention as well, actually trying to record this thing has been absolute arse. I'm, to be perfectly honest, kind of in the process of testing this setup as it is right now. But this could well actually make it as the actual first segment that's going up onto YouTube. So, the thing that makes Rise of the Triad sort of unique is, well, one thing is the fact that you can pick different characters. The only differences that these characters have on their names, looks, speed, and health. The last two actually being the only really important ones. Thing is here, I'm only entitled to this one fellow right here, Mr. Terradino Cassat. He is Mr. Average, and once again, like in most other 90s FPSs, there is also kind of, we can't have it just be, say, easy, medium, hard, and, like, ridiculously super hard, special, awesome thing. But you can see from the bottom left-hand corner what they're meant to mean. I'm going to play this on the hard mode, and when we play the retail game, there'll be a couple of other sets of difficulty, I don't know, readings or whatever the hell you could say, because I'm actually doing the shareware version first. Most other LPs either completely ignore the shareware episode, or in one particular LP they split this single player episode and played a couple levels of it between the retail game. I'm going to try something different and actually start the game with the shareware, because one, it gives players a taste of what is to come in the retail game, and two, because this is usually the first and, for the most part, only experience that some players have had with this game. So this is something that they'll find to be familiar, and it's something that I definitely know pretty much like the back of my hand. Especially this level, I've done like 24 test recordings of this, so I should pretty much know what the hell I'm doing here. But yeah, a unique little feature about this game is that, unlike most games, in which you can actually get killed by a guy that shoots a rocket in the very first level of the game, yay, I kind of thought that they were going to get intercepted by the discs there, but apparently that is not the case, which is unfortunate. I could scrap the segment, but whatever. It shows off a feature of an enemy, and it's a very annoying one, and I'll talk about that at a later point, probably as I'm going through the second level. The thing that made this game sort of interesting is that its shareware version is actually separate from the retail game. When you start the retail game, the first episode is something completely different from the shareware. Most other games give you the first episode of the game as shareware, and in a couple of those cases, that first episode doesn't have anywhere near as many levels. An example being Duke 3D, it only had, I think, 6. It had 5 base levels plus the secret level. So, and most of the others, I think, had somewhere in the region of about 10. Although there was only 3 of those, and I'm only really familiar with 2 of those. I still have troubles getting through the 4th episode from the Plutonium Pack. And actually, no, the Atomic Edition. The Plutonium Pack was just like a further increase in its capabilities or version or whatever the hell. But yeah, this thing is intended to give you a bit of a taste of things that you can expect to see in the retail game, and some of the features in this don't actually appear until like the very last episode in the retail game. So when you see those features, I will point those out, but you just kind of got to get used to the fact that you'll see them a fair amount of times here, but then you just won't see them for an exceedingly long amount of time. So that's a bit of a thing. Now I can actually start talking about the enemies, and in particular the dillweed that shot me in the face with a bazooka in the previous level. If he's here, I can talk about him. No, it's just a low guard. Low guard is one of the many generic pistol-wielding fellows, as is this guy, the lightning guard, and he was actually holding a bazooka. On occasion, he will hold a bazooka, unless you're playing on easy mode, which makes them pretty much piss easy on easy mode, but that, I think, is the kind of the intention. But yeah, these guys are two of, let me think, I think 4 different pistol-wielding enemies in the game. And they each have a bit of a gimmick that's associated with them. The low guard is the shittiest because I think he has the least amount of health, and he's actually got the worst possible gimmick. The strike team, in comparison, the fellow in the beige, actually has a different one because he actually rolled out of the way of my missile. The low guards, on the other hand, one of them was actually showing off that mechanic earlier. He was just laying on the turf, playing dead. And it's really stupid because because there is actually a differentiation in the sprite that is being used between the dead fellow and the one that's just playing dead. So you can quite easily tell whether or not he's actually dead or if he's just sort of faking out. So that entire gimmick was kind of pointless. I think they actually got rid of it in the remake, so now the low guards are literally completely useless in every single way, shape and form. The lightning guards, as you can see, the fellows in the green trench coats, they have missile weapons sometimes, as I explained a little bit earlier, but they can also steal your shit. They can steal your armor if you're wearing any, and they can also steal your missile weapons. And if they're a bazooka, I'm pretty sure they can actually use it on you. Aside from that, they are relatively slow moving, and in some cases you might actually want him to have a missile weapon because you need a missile weapon to clear a bunch of enemies, and that as well with all of the pistol weapons and whatnot. They're all hit scan, so obviously you can't really do much in the way of dodging those. At least with a rocket, if you see it coming and have a quick enough reflexes, you can dodge it. Now I'm actually heading back to the start of the level here because there is a door over here that I unlocked, that I opened up the pathway to, but it didn't open until 3 minutes into the level. It's a time delay door. There's only a couple of these in the level, but again, it's another thing to show off. It's in the first level of the retail game when we get to that point as well, and it's a lot easier to get a hold of because, again, it's near the start of the level. I should have actually brought the drunk missile with me. Oh well, it's fine as long as this lightning guard up the back here doesn't have a bazooka, which he doesn't. That's perfectly fine. Anyways, over here we have what isn't called an extra life because this game actually does run on lives. Kind of fitting actually because you wouldn't know it unless you were told. But this is actually the Wolfenstein 3D engine. This is the very same engine that you played Wolfenstein 3D on. It's just gone through a rather major facelift. Bit of a Michael Jackson sort of thing, except this actually was, you know, good. The only thing that sucked about it was the map design, and that's apparently only because people didn't like how the map design went further on into the game. They consider the shareware episodes to be the best because it's literally just a jumble of random bits and pieces that make for an enjoyable first experience of the game. At least they were enjoyable for me, even though I kept getting myself killed because I couldn't find the bloody cheat codes, because I used to be obsessed with going through every single FPS game I played with cheat codes. I guess this is one of the games that sort of heightened my senses when it came to FPSs. Anyways, that fellow that just shot me in the back with a machine gun, that's a high guard. On occasion they will drop a machine gun for you, but in this case it didn't happen for me. I had to get the one from this elevator area. Many of my test recordings I managed to get that machine gun off like maybe the first guy or something like that, so it's kind of unfortunate that I didn't get one here, but it doesn't actually matter because you get a machine gun in the very first level of the shareware anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. It becomes slightly more of a deal in the retail game because the first level there does not guarantee you a machine gun, so you'll have to either get one out of a barrel or get one out of a high guard. Speaking of barrels, one of the barrels I blew up earlier yielded a heat seeker, and that's actually kind of cool because Some of the barrels, all the barrels are basically just these pink barrels that have the Triad symbol on them. And one of those and sometimes they have little grey symbols, and that indicates that they're bonus barrels. Don't go too close to them though, because they will blow up. And they will damage you if you're close enough to them. But they can yield heat seeker, life items. They can also yield, what else can they yield? The machine gun, obviously, and I think they can also yield a food item. So I'm actually going back to get the heat seeker, simply because there are a whole bunch of enemies at the start of the next level, and I want to be able to get them from a distance, and the heat seeker just does that really, really well. The heat seeker is quite literally what it says on the tin, so there's nothing much to really say about that. Same thing with the bazooka. The bazooka, I think, it has more ammo, but I think the missiles are more powerful. I think in terms of missiles power, this one's actually the weakest, but that's not really that big of a deal until you get to enemies that can actually tank those hits. These enemies, they die from a single blast, so it's perfectly fine. It's not that big of a deal. Hooray, I got my face bloody blown up by a rocket, so I gotta have to redo this bloody part of the level. And unfortunately, because I didn't save, I either had to just continue and with a pistol start, or just refresh and start with my machine gun, which I could probably have done if there was enough high guards that I could have possibly gotten something out of one of them. Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Right there. All I had to do was redo this level, and I probably knew exactly where to get a heat seeker as well. Yeah, because there's actually two of them. There's one up here, and then there's one when you hit this touch plate over here, which triggers a wall. Some push walls are actually locked, so you need to use a touch plate or a switch of some variety to trigger them. So in some ways that can be a bit annoying if you don't know what does what. But this game's pretty cryptic as it is, because there's no actual proper guides on this except for the official strategy guide, which I think is actually still in print. It probably isn't. I've got no idea what the hell I'm on about. I think it's just something based on what someone said in another LP of this game, but whatever. There's one of the heat seekers. That's a bit better. I actually can't remember exactly what I've gone on a tangent about in this segment so far, just because of the scrapping that I had to do in the redoing. I know I haven't talked about life items. Up in the top right hand corner, next to the life count, there's a smaller number. That's the amount of life item points that you have. For every 100 that you get, that's an extra life. So it's basically the Super Mario formula here, pretty much. It's not that big of a mechanic, but it's kind of interesting, if only for the fact that on top of the lives, you also have quick saves, which are infinitely better, because you can just throw a save somewhere and then just immediately reload that save if you die. I mean, yes, it does set you back a fair bit, but even if you die, you go back to the start of the level anyway. The difference being, you start the level with a pistol, and you lose all your weapons and whatnot. So you don't get good shit like the drunk missile, which does this. And it's very weird. With some enemies, you actually have to hit them with every single one of these missiles that are fired out, or else it won't kill them, which is kind of annoying. I'm thankful that it's just the one lightning guard. I'm actually kind of fearful of lightning guards, especially since that happened. I actually got blown up in one of the test recordings I did earlier as well, which was very annoying. Now, see, that's a bit better. And he actually had a missile. Would you believe it? It seems like the lightning guards in this particular area seem to love having bazookas. It's very annoying. I'm really tempted to say, but I don't want to do that, because I should be able to take care of this with hit scan. Now, this is my favorite weapon in the entire game, and you are going to find out why. Let me first just drop the drunk missile. The firebomb is a bit insane. Let me just take care of this one enemy, and then I'm just going to do all these ones. Ooh, it was a bit close for comfort there. Do we have any food? Yeah, I got a priest porridge hot. Yeah, you can actually heat up priest porridge by setting it off an explosive near it, which is kind of interesting. Up here, I believe we have the power up. Yeah, the mercury mode. Let's just fly. question is, how does it work? Okay, I got them set to T and G. Not that it actually matters for the rest of the level, or in this level, just in general, because there's not a whole lot of places that you can get to that you can't get to without flight capabilities. So it's really kind of pointless. So too is this trap, actually. As soon as you set this off, you've actually set the gas off, and I hit this wall because it gives me a gas mask. All I have to do is sit here, and I can sit through the gas, and the gas will kill all the enemies in this room. It's amazing. And if they come through, and if they manage to survive long enough to come through, I've got my machine gun ready to just rip them a new arsehole. So, it's pretty much win-win. Insert syncopated clock music here. It doesn't take that long, because it should be just about done now. Yeah. Right when my gas mask wears off. And if you don't know about that secret, you can just easily collect this gas mask over here. I'm not going to do that because gas masks in general hinder your eyesight, which is very annoying. So that guy had a bazooka. Hit that. Thing with harder difficulties as well is that I've gotten used to playing this on easy mode, and when you play it on easy mode, the secret walls appear much darker than all of the other walls. That's not quite the case with hard mode, so it's a little bit more difficult to find the walls. I think in hard mode it is just maybe a shade darker. I think in Crazy Man, like, it's pretty much perfectly blended in. But yeah, that's what the firebomb does for you. It just kind of blew up this entire room full of enemies. And that enemy just kind of got his face punched in. And this is one of my favorite tricks to do. Switch the fire shooter off. Attract all the enemies, switch it on. You don't have to waste a single missile of any variety in order to get rid of these guys. Give it a few more seconds. That should be all the enemies. Nope, there was a lightning guard who held on by the skin of his teeth. Which actually happens to be one of the bonuses that you can get at the end of a level. I'm not going to show off all the bonuses because one of them does involve completing a level with one little dot of health. You can see the health counter there. It's not... There is a percentage, but you just can't see it. That's the problem. Oh, jeez. Yeah, navigating this is annoying because if you screw up, you will get crushed. Okay, I didn't get crushed. I kind of had my heart and mouth in there for a second because I don't want to have to redo this bloody level again. I may legitimately have to redo the segment. This has already been a bit of a travesty of a segment, and I do not want to get crushed by this fellow. You can crush enemies to death in this game. Again, Super Mario Brother mechanic, I suppose. You can just fall on the opponent. Oh, jeez. Where's that other low guard? There he is. Thank you. If you follow the GAD discs that are moving around this place... Oh, god damn it. Okay, I don't know what to do. That'll do. It's not like the firebomb is... absolute... Like, the firebomb is beastly, but I wouldn't consider it God. God is another weapon. And it is actually a weapon in this, but it's only a temporary weapon, as you saw in the previous segment. One thing I actually forgot to go and grab was the bulletproof armor near the start of this map. There's another suit, though, in this map, so it's not that big of a deal that I missed it. Also, elevators are very weird in this game. The concept of an elevator is to transfer you between floors, right? Like, vertically. The problem is, though, because of the restrictions of this particular engine, there is actually only one vertical plane. And by vertical plane, I mean you can't have, like, a actual set of stairs. That's what the GADs are for, actually. Because you can't, like, make stairs in this game. So that's what the GADs do. They're the actual stairs. Now let's open this and just kind of rinse those idiots. Oh, jeez. We're getting a handful of enemies here. You may just drop dead. I think that's gotten rid of most of those. Blow you to pieces. And we have a silver key, which I have not actually talked about keys because I've been busy talking about other things. But it's not that big of a deal because most other FPS games have keys in them as well, which you need to unlock rooms and shit. So it's not that big of a deal. Now, here we have the iron key, which is the third and final key that you'll find in this game. Because there is a fourth, but it doesn't show up until in the shareware game, as far as I'm aware. And that's actually kind of unique. That's spring jump actually activates after a few seconds. It's like a periodical one. I do not believe there is such a case of this in the entirety of the game at all. Usually the jump pads, usually the function of the jump pads is that they trigger as soon as you stand on them. And with that one, you can actually get the iron key without having to hit this switch, which moves a wall. The problem is that both of those methods are entirely pointless, because this push wall leads you to a bulletproof armor and a touch plate, which moves this wall out of the way, which leads you into the door that you need the iron key for in the first place. And that poor bastard just got eviscerated. Now, what do we get out of that? A single point life item. Yeah, the life items have 4 denominations. That was a 1 pointer that was there. There's also 5, 10, and 25 pointers. And we'll come across those eventually. That's a 10 pointer right there, actually. It's got the, I don't know, jeweled center thingy bob. I actually had to take some damage there in order to move the healing, in order to get the healing basin out of the way. The healing basin can heal anywhere from 33 to, I think, 70 something % of damage. I think it's just RNG based. It's kind of weird like that, but I had to do that in order to get the push wall. That weird red ank with the circles around it, that was a 25er. So all that's left is to find a 5er and tell you, hey, that's a 5er. In terms of weapons, actually, I haven't really talked much about the weapons. Actually, have I? No, I think I talked about the drunk missile and firebomb. I think that's about fine. The only other thing to talk about are the bullet weapons. Once you get the machine gun, you're pretty much sorted, because the single pistol, as it is right now, is the worst possible thing to start with, because it has the stopping power of an airsoft gun. Double pistol is a small improvement. It's actually not too bad. You can actually go through the entire game without even ever picking up the machine gun, which is kind of interesting. But you really want to stick with the machine gun, because so broken is the machine gun that its rate of fire is at a point where you pretty much can just shoot an enemy and they will flint, and they will be permanently flinched. You just keep doing that until they die. And if you don't have a machine gun and you see one of these guys drop one, like what this guy just did here, you have every right to throw shit, because you actually can't get it. As soon as you touch this, you finish the level. It's unfortunate. And I missed 2 secret walls. I can't remember how many secret walls I missed in the first level, but in earlier practices I was able to toast the entire level, which is kind of annoying. But anyways, this level, I will show you this. I will kill these enemies, and then I will end the segment here. So, next time we're going to play the 4th door.